Welcome to the Blooming League of Original Podcasts.
Happy New Year, and welcome to an extra virginal edition of Thrash and Treasure, the Torture Chamber musical comedy podcast that refuses to say Paddy Lupone 3 times in front of a mirror, because if we do, she may appear and tell us off for recording. And speaking of douchey, I'm Aaron, and I'm joined as usual by the new kid on the block, but let's hope he's more Woody Boyd and less Cousin Oliver. Introducing Steve the new kid. How's it going?
Hey everybody, happy to be here.
Welcome to the show. Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Awesome. You've got your own podcast, Music Rewind Podcast, which is how I found you and poached you.
Yes, that is my show.
Awesome. So listeners at home, once you're done with this episode and listening to more Thrash and Treasure episodes, go check out Stephen's podcast. Anyways, guess what?
What?
We have another returning legendary Aussie diva back in the Pride Lands today, but don't worry for the rest of your day because I won't hog the spotlight, boring you by fiddling and farting around with a bunch of Pumbaa puns. I'll just drink this swine, sorry, tusk, and Mufasa speed of light as I send a huge local g'day across to everything the light touches, because none singunyama bagithi baba, and I've got none else to say other than to welcome back to our torture chamber the Tassie devil who's the apple of our isle, who'll soon be rolling the dice on the Sydney weather when he says the neigh as Harry the horse, so we say the yay to Mr. Braithwaite, because that's the way it's got to be, little darling, because there's nothing crups about this icon, but there is nothing like Mr. John Xintavelonis. Welcome back.
Wow.
Hey, old friend. Da, 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 da. I don't know the words to that song. I've never seen Merrily. How's it going?
It's going good. Sorry, I'm driving in the car. I hope that's all right.
Mm-hmm. That's all right. Please do not crash because our last guest had 2 broken ribs. We do not need any more than that. Oh, sorry. Our next guest, because you will be airing before that.
Okay.
So concentrate on the road. If you stop talking to us, we will take that into account.
No, it's fine. It's fine. There's 6-year-olds in the back of the car.
Awesome.
There he is.
Oh, there we go. It's not the first time we've had guest children on the show or guest grandchildren either. But anyways, how you doing? Hustling as always?
Yeah, I'm busy. I'm in the Royal Botanical Gardens at the moment. Or currently, it's our day off today. Doing Alice in Wonderland for a school season. We're doing like 2 shows a day, Monday to Friday at the moment with that. And then about to have a break at the end of next week. And then the public season starts in January. And then in the evening, there's Shakespeare in the Gardens, 12th night that I'm producing as well. So, yes, it's full on. We usually spend this time of year, like October, November, December, January, in the Botanical Gardens. So it's great. It's all outdoor stuff, and you're constantly checking the weather forecast in fear that rain's going to come and destroy your production. But I've only had to cancel a couple of shows so far, so that's not too bad.
Oh, there you go. And you've also got, believe it or not, Guys and Dolls coming up. So you couldn't be any busier, but Steve actually has a question about that related to the weather.
Yeah, Aaron sent me a video of Phantom being performed on the harbor in a torrential downpour, and I guess everything was flooded. Are preparing for that at all?
Absolutely. Sydney's one of the wettest cities we have in Australia. The only saving grace for the rain is it's usually about 28 degrees Celsius when it rains. So you're actually quite warm. It's like being in a shower in Sydney when it rains. So it won't be too bad. And for some reason, thanks to technology, no one gets electrocuted these days like they would have done 20, 30 years ago. But I'm pretty sure if it rains too much, they will pull the plug on the show. But it's bound to have. Yeah, it's all, even West Side Story. I think we did West Side Story there last year on the harbour.
Mm-hmm.
Even they had a couple of shows cancelled due to weather. Yeah, so weather can come in and wreck things for people. And it does come a point where those microphones you wear will not stand up to that much moisture at once. But looking forward to it. I think it'll be fun to be in a drenched 3-piece gangster suit that has to go into the wash straight away and get the hot box and get dried out before the next performance. Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to it. It's a big, epic production. The stage is the size of a football. There'll be a cast of thousands in it. So, yeah, it'll be great. Man, it's got such a following now. And it'd be like playing in a stadium in a way. But we'll be on water.
I presume you mean football field and not a football?
No.
Because you stopped after football. A football field.
Oh, no, size of a football field, yeah.
Yep.
Not size of a football, no.
Yeah. At least the rain would give all new context to sit down. You're rocking the boat. So
Absolutely. I'm not really sure how the stage works. They build this stage on the water, whether it's solid or whether it's a floating stage, whether that's actually rocking the whole time as well. I'm not really sure. This will be my first opera in the harbour production for the Australian Opera, so I'm curious to see how that all comes together.
That's really cool. Yeah, that they can do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's worked so well for them, and it is such a popular event. The theatre goers to attend as well, so yeah, really looking forward to it.
One last thing on that. It's funny you say you don't get electrocuted in the shower. I think the last time you were on, or around that time, there was a problem in my bathroom and I got into the shower. I turned on the taps and got electrocuted.
No.
Because they had done the air conditioning, right? Put in new air conditioning. And when they did that, they didn't hook the hose up properly and it was leaking over the electricity in my bathroom, which then when I turned the shower on, I almost died. So that was like 2 years ago or 3 years ago or something. So I don't know.
My God.
My memory is a little bit murky because I got electrocuted in the shower. So yeah, anyway, sorry. Shouldn't shout.
I shouldn't laugh either, but wow.
No, it's hilarious if you ask me.
I'm glad you're still with us.
Yeah, especially since I have a Final Destination poster on my wall again, thinking of Tony Todd. Anyways, that movie is always looming over me like a shadow. Now, I have to ask, because for our international listeners, your home state of Tasmania is about to get their very first AFL team.
Yeah.
I've got my Essendon Bombers shirt on. Does that mean you're going to be a traitor and leave us at Essendon?
No.
Oh, thank
I've
God.
explained this several times to several people.
Okay.
I've gone for the Essendon Bombers since I was 5, I think.
Yep.
So, no, I'll be sticking with them, and Tasmania will be my second team. And I'll basically go for Tasmania. I'll root for them every single time they play, except for when they play the Bombers. And
Yep.
then I'll root for the Bombers. But then when they do play the Bombers, if for some reason the Bombers lose to Tasmania, it won't be as bad because they'll have lost to my second team. So, yeah, it's a win-win situation. It's great, yeah. But it's great that the stadium's finally being built. It was part of the deal to give us a licence to have a team in the AFL. So, but, a lot of people aren't happy about it. But, hey, them's the breaks. That's how it works. That's how we roll.
That's it. No, Stephen does not understand AFL at all. I've tried explaining it way over his head.
Nope, I've tried. It's entertaining to watch, but I have not a clue of the rules.
Oh dear! I'm just turning my Bluetooth on. Hang on a sec. There we go. I'm back, and we're back in the room.
We're on the move. That's it. That's a good segue, because speaking of on the move, we'll move on to the metal now. Have you been keeping up with your metal education since you were on the show last?
No, actually, I haven't been to a concert of my favourite local metal band, Mountains of Madness, in a while. I've just been too busy. So yeah, no, I haven't. It's been terrible. I feel bad that I haven't done that.
At least you remembered to drop their name this time early on, even though we're not covering them.
That's right.
Now, we've got a new question that I don't think I asked you this last time because it wasn't in the metal section. So, Steve.
So, if you could pick your ultimate, most over-the-top rock star rider, what would you put in that contract? Something that is just absurdly over-the-top that they have to cater to you.
No water.
Oh, deliberately?
Yep.
Gee. Some kind of live animal, I reckon.
Yes.
Like a tiger or something.
Yes. Oh my God, a tiger.
I'd want like a tiger.
Oh, we have not had a carnivore before.
One of those white ones that they have in Vegas in that who are called Roy and
Siegfried and
what are
Roy.
they called? Roy.
Siegfried and Roy.
Siegfried and Roy, yeah, one of their white tigers.
Siberian white tiger, beautiful.
Just pacing in my dressing room.
Oh, how's that for security?
Just to freak them out.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. As I always say, just as soon as people mention animals, I'm like, yes, my arms are like a Muppet.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, yeah. I find riders really weird. Like, if you're performing, like, why would you want anything? You want to get on stage and, you wouldn't want burgers. Like, you hear those, bowls of M&Ms, those rumours that people have a certain bowl of M&Ms, but only the green ones,
Yeah, but that's for a reason. We've discussed this before.
To make sure they read the contract.
Exactly.
Oh.
Because there was different things in there. It wasn't just that, right? It was these different things to make sure all the different units were communicating with each other and had read the contract. It's a very smart thing. Like, I'm all for riders. Like, I'm not for being a douchebag about it, but at least, like, if you're hiring talent, look after them.
Yeah.
Have water for them. They don't need to ask you for water. But if there is anything that, if someone's going it that they want to be comfortable, then yeah, you're sending them across the other side of the world to perform songs. A lot of the times to an audience that doesn't speak the same language. Make that comfortable for people.
Or if at least to say, you didn't read my damn contract. How do you know? Because I don't have a goddamn tiger.
There's no white tiger in my dressing room.
Where's my white tiger?
I mean, when you think about it, it's awful. An influencer was just died of an allergic reaction, right? Because she was hired by a food company, right? And she told them, she told them, but it wasn't her agent or a contract or anything like that. It was just word of mouth. So therefore, they didn't follow it, did they? There was no signing or anything like that. It's very important, people. Look after yourselves as artists. I'm an advocate, but don't get a fucking tiger, man. That's just crazy. But also, do get a tiger.
Do get a tiger.
That's
But
it.
if you can get one, it'd be great. I mean, how good would they be if they could actually access an albino tiger for you? That's pretty impressive. You'd want to work for them again, wouldn't you?
Hell yeah, exactly. If they've bent over backwards to get you a tiger like that, like a snowy white Siberian tiger, then yes.
Exactly.
That they care.
Exactly.
Anyways, this week I picked the metal album, and because it's Stephen's first episode on the show,
Oh my goodness.
I picked Enforcer's Death by Fire, which I've reviewed, so I'm going to jump straight into that now. When I first picked Enforcer, I really had no choice. Great. 0 stars. So I rang up the Spotify and track 1 chimed in with the bells of Hades. And 28 seconds later, great, 5 stars. But death rides the night, so I strap myself in, hoping to at least not get car sick, and it appears I have blindly picked a speed metal album. Cool. This opening number sets the mood and sleaze perfectly. Next up, Run for Your Life. I'm trying, but I'm also intrigued. There seems to be epic strands of hair metal here making for an 80s sound that doesn't feel forced, despite their name. It feels authentic. Lyrically, the first 3 tracks cover familiar ground, but the balls-out approach leaves me mesmerized by Death by Fire, even if it's all a bit samey. There's some clear skills being showcased with exciting riffs and uninhibited vocals that could call upon a banshee. Take me out of this nightmare if I'm not enjoying it. But the fact is, I kind of am. There's reckless abandon mixed with solid music education as classic rock elements meet catchy stadium hooks that would please a crowd and get them shouting along. It's fun, it's dark, but never aggressive, sleazy yet never off-putting. Crystal Sweet takes a sweet, crystal clear turn with no vocals, accentuating the classical influence. Overall, the band hasn't sacrificed what fans love about hair nor speed metal. There's a fun fusion of elements that, in my uneducated opinion, showcase a band who would have taken over the world if not being 20 years too late. 4 stars. Let down by too much repetition, but otherwise, I wasn't burnt by this scorching album. I enjoyed it. It was really fun. It was silly and camp. It was authentic metal. It wasn't like they weren't trying. It didn't feel like they were trying.
Where are they from?
Sweden.
Wow.
Which is, I pointed out the clear music education there.
I know that was Swede metal.
Yeah.
Swede metal.
So.
Wow. And how old are these guys? Are they
18 years old? They're 2006,
wow.
I believe they formed. So
they're like babies.
They are. But it sounds like when I first heard it, I was surprised. I thought they were in the 80s. And then I read it. I'm like, oh, shit. Okay. Because the logo looks modern, but then the sound is genuinely 80s, but then they're not. So I was impressed. I really enjoyed this. This is what I sign up for. Sleazy metal.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm trying to see if the kids will be into it. I have an 11-year-old and a 6-year-old, 11-year-old daughter. They might, I might be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it's like there's no swearing, I don't think. I didn't hear any swearing.
Well, you can't understand half of it, I find, so it doesn't really matter if they do swear.
It's all sort of, quote unquote satanistic, if you will. There's like a song called Satan on it, but it was never violating in any way. It was just the same with the sleaze of it. It was just really fun and camp.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I know nothing about Enforcer and had never heard of them before, but it really kind of rocked, as you put it. And it's been a while since I've revisited speed metal. So knowing nothing going in, you had that nice classical intro, which was very reminiscent of like early Metallica, which was nice. And then it just became a complete throwback to the 80s style of metal. shades of Anthrax and Judas Priest in there. It was really kind of a great listen. My 10-year-old was not a fan, just so a heads up there, but he asked for something else in the car, but I tried. But Crystal Sweet, as you mentioned, complete standout. That was a fantastic. I love a good instrumental rock track, and that one is already in a playlist for me.
Oh wow!
In my instrumental list. So I really love a good anthem like that. But overall, it rocked. It was retro. It was pretty great.
Crystal Sweet, I actually thought was a metal version of a classical composition, and I was surprised to not see any information that said Mozart or anything like that, because it just sounded good. It sounded so authentic. Best way to put it. Which I think in this case, when you're doing a genre that 20 years after its heyday, that's what people are looking for, is authenticity. They're not sure we want classic songs, but if you're not authentic to the genre, you're going to be called a different genre.
Yeah, true.
Absolutely.
You know, but I think I can't judge their other albums, obviously, so I don't know if that's their sound all along. You know, that there was some really fun anthems, like Sacrificed. I was singing along. The Nightmare song, I was singing along. What am I doing? Oh my God, this is awful. I hate myself, but it was just, it was 4 stars. Like as I just say, I was just a bit let down by a lot of them did sound very much the same. But also, it's only 35 minutes long. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, it was fast.
You can't go wrong.
It was quick, yeah.
You know, it's like, what? Yeah. No, I enjoyed it. I hadn't heard of them. I purely picked them because of the name of the album, because I thought it goes with the musical.
Oh, that's the connection. I was going to ask, what's the connection?
Well, I just
okay.
Yeah. But technically it should be the other way around.
I get it now.
So maybe I'll put this segment as the middle segment, and we'll do the musical first. Just so it all makes sense. But
there's always a musical connection.
Yeah, there is. And like, this is very theatrical as well. There's some good melodies in there that, you know, stood out, but I don't think they, within that one song, lasted enough to make that whole song stand out from the other ones.
Yeah, I could see that.
Okay, yeah.
So there's like elements, the sum of the parts as opposed to the whole, whatever that expression is.
Yeah, I'd like to listen to some more of their stuff and see if they kind of evolved after that, you know, to get to that Metallica level of Ride the Lightning and Master Puppets, where they were at their classical thrash metal peak. Because these guys could get there based on that album.
Yeah, and this is their third album, so it's not their debut or their sophomore, it's their third album. So at this point, they've established themselves clearly, who they are, what their sound is. I would presume.
Well, you'd think so, third album and all.
Yeah.
Getting on Metallica, is Metallica still touring?
Yeah, they are.
Well,
they just toured for their recent album. Was it 72 Hours?
Yeah,
I think
right.
the name of the album was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and they coming to Melbourne, or did come to Melbourne recently.
Australia.
Yeah, I need to look this up.
They just did 2 back-to-back shows in Chicago like a month or 2 ago that I had a lot of friends go to, and they said it was fantastic.
Haven't lost a thing, have they?
Yeah, they did great. I haven't seen them in years, but I guess they're still rocking.
November 8th. 2025 at Docklands.
Well, there you go.
Or Marvel Stadium.
Just under a year away.
Yeah. I knew they were coming, or had come, or something.
I'm not going to make that show. Sorry, guys. You have to go without me over there.
I want to save up and go to LA 28 opening ceremony. Just going to throw that out there if anyone wants to buy my novels, so I can.
Well, Olympics.
Yep.
That's good. That's a good goal.
Yeah, LA 28 and then do Brisbane 32.
Oh, okay, well.
This is a American and Australian podcast. So
maybe we can do an exchange with you two.
Yeah. Okay, so the 2 brothers, Olaf and Jonas Wickstrand, are the mainstays of the band. But also on this album on guitars, Joseph Thol, or Toll, however you pronounce it, and Tobias Lindquist on bass.
No girls.
No.
Very much not very female sort of led industry, is it?
No, I often I did, but some of the female bands that we've done, or at least that have had a female singer, have been fucking brilliant. Have been some of the best albums that we've covered, just purely because there's I don't know, maybe a more balls out approach. Like we did Amel and the Sniffers with Pippa Grandison a couple of episodes ago, or last episode, whenever it was.
Right.
And I gave them 6 stars because I was just so
Great name.
I know, isn't it?
I'll just say that I'm not surprised that when you said Sweden though, because there's a lot of great thrash metal coming out of them Scandinavian countries up there. It's some good stuff.
They have a market over there, big time.
Huge market and some really quality bands that we just don't hear about because I guess they're from Sweden. They're not getting the airplay here, or at least not breaking out into the mainstream. I don't know what it is, but like this one, so many songs I pictured sort of a movie scene or something like that, like Nicolas Cage in Ghost Rider or something like that, with Sacrificed playing. So, maybe not that, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe like Kurt Russell in Escape from LA, stuff like that. Like I could picture a lot of this stuff in some really campy 80s.
A perfect 80s movie for that, yeah.
Yeah, love those movies.
But anyways, if I can quickly find my segue, I can move us along, because it seems the trial by fire hasn't left Steve burnt, so we're gonna enforce an ad break. From the producers of Thrash and Treasure, around the world in 80 plays, starring the adorable Lizzie B and Alfie Parker, and featuring the star of the show, Dolly the dog, they'll take you for a trip around the UK, exploring the rich arts and cultural history. But here is a sneak peek.
Long time no see. Welcome back to the second leg of Around the World in 80 Plays. I'm Alfie Parker, and that's
Lizzie B.
And we're joined as always by our four-legged friend, Dolly the dog.
Woof woof.
After a 2-month break from brand new episodes, we've boarded the bus for Bradford on the 8th stop of the Sister Act UK and Ireland tour.
Lots of Bradford love.
Lots of Bradford loving. Now, moving on to the tour. This week we've been performing in the Alhambra, as I said, and I believe this is Lizzie's moment to shine, to give us an insight.
Are you going to yawn all the way through it this week?
Yeah, last episode I was yawning a lot. This week, I don't think I'll yawn.
Are you going to interrupt me throughout?
Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe.
Let's see how it goes.
If anything really shocks me and I'm like, whoa, then maybe I'll exclaim.
Oh, I can't wait. Right, so, as Alfie said, we are at the Bradford Alhambra Theatre, and I personally think this is one of the nicest theatres in the UK, which always makes it worth going to Bradford. I'm having a lovely time.
Yeah, that's nice.
But I've had quite a cold experience there before, because I've always stayed in hotels, like just bog standard hotels. As you said, walked 30 seconds to work, walked home. So I haven't gone out or done anything like that. But this time I'm having a totally different experience. But talking of the theatre, basically my point was the theatre is so nice. So here's my information taken from good old Wikipedia.
Here we go.
The theatre was built in 1913.
Ooh.
And it was built by the architects Chadwick and Watson of Leeds.
Not to be mistaken with Sherlock Holmes and Watson.
Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes.
This is going to lead on to another thing which Alfie always takes a mick out of me for, because everyone says Sherlock Holmes, but it's got an L in it. So I think it should be Sherlock Holmes.
No, you think it should be Sherlock Holmes.
That's not what I say.
That is what you say.
I say Holmes.
No, you say Holmes. Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes. Lizzie says Sherlock Holmes.
I don't. I say Sherlock Holmes. I hate you so much.
Well,
oh dear.
Yeah, well, there you are.
Word in. I actually say it right.
Lizzie's totally right. But it's a silent... Yeah, it's a silent L.
So it's not Holmes, it's Holmes.
It's a silent L, isn't it?
No. It's not silent.
Might be. Sherlock Holmes.
Moving swiftly on. It was opened by theatre impresario Francis Laidler. And before you ask,
Good one. Right, sorry, carry on.
I actually don't even know why I bother.
No, I'm
Are you
enjoying
taking
it.
any of this in? Who was it opened by?
Francis Laidler.
Right, before you've asked, I haven't researched him any further, but if anyone would like to.
Yeah, who is he then?
A theatre impresario.
They said that about me. Theatre extraordinaire.
Shout out to Jeremy Seckham, my OG theatre extraordinaire. If anyone knows how you become a theatre extraordinaire, please let us know.
I think I'm on track. I think I could.
Of course you are, dear. Right, more facts for you. The large domed turrets are iconic in the Bradford skyline, and they actually are.
Yeah, they are.
So
Fair play.
it's got 1,400 seats.
Is that it?
Oh, sorry.
No, it sucks because it feels so much bigger.
That's what she said.
Yeah, there we are. It does seem a lot big. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
You do. All right, 1,400 seats.
Start my Bradford Alhambra.
Call me the Alhambra.
Here's a cool fact. It was the main location, like the set on the film The Dresser, 1983.
They remake that.
Yeah. No, it was a play. It's been a play recently, but the film with what's he called? Mooney. Alfred Mooney. Is that his name? Daddy Warbucks.
Oh, I don't know.
Do a quick Google. Talk amongst yourselves.
Frederick Mooney. Alfred.
Albert Mooney. Albert Mooney. That's him, isn't it?
We're back with Thrash and Treasure. I'm Aaron, that's Steve the new kid, and we're joined by Timon's best friend, John Xintavelonis. Now, if the arts had an Olympics, what would you compete in, and what would you want to watch people compete in?
Oh, gee. I'd have to do something that I'm good at with my strengths.
Yep. Would it be singing or acting? Or doing the splits?
Oh, well, see, I've gone a bit sort of more, I was thinking more sort of left field, like, I'm thinking like the post-show drinking at the pub is probably what I would compete in instead.
Yeah.
I think that.
Yep.
Yes, it'll be the acting. But if I did choose between acting, it'd be the acting side of things as opposed to singing. Or the line learning. I'm pretty good at learning lines really quickly.
Yeah.
It's a problem having Olympics for things like arts because there's no clear winner. It's all objective. People going, oh, yeah, I think that was the best performance, you know. I mean, in proper Olympics, there's always the person who scores the most points or the person who crosses the line first or catches the other end of the pool field. There's a clear winner. It's hard to pick winners in things like this.
You got the judges, you know. You got holding up the 10, 9, you know.
Yeah.
Get the 992 score.
Opera's very technical. Battle of the Bands, who's done the most catchiest song that the crowd goes the craziest for? You got crowd reactions. That's a big part of it there.
I was say who could stay in character during a torrential downpour would be
Well,
yeah. Endurance there.
I'll be able to let you know in a couple of months' time.
Yeah.
Maybe I can see like a couple of sopranos going at it, seeing who can sing the highest.
Oh, there you go.
Yes. Who can smash a wine glass first?
Yeah, a crystal wine glass.
Pippa Granderson would nail it. I tell you that. And what would you want to watch people compete at? Was it The Sopranos? You said, yeah.
I think so. I'd love to watch sopranos go each other. Yeah, I always have trouble with sopranos because when the proper sopranos sing like opera, for example, you can't understand a bloody word they're saying. They're completely unintelligible.
Mm-hmm.
I've had friends who've gone to operas and gone home at interval because they couldn't understand it because they couldn't work out what language it was in. It turned out it was in English, but they just couldn't understand what the hell was going on. They couldn't understand. They round their vowels so much. It's all about the sound more than the actual lyrics. Sorry to bag out opera, but, you know, it's really hard to follow.
That's all right. You are the one employed by Opera Australia, so...
Second time.
Second time.
I did South Pacific with them. I did the Lincoln Centre production that came here. Bartlett Sher directed.
I'll take the worst bullet for you, John, and when Sopranos hit a certain note, that's when only dogs around the vicinity can understand. So you're not alone.
Start barking and running towards you, yeah.
I'm not insulting you, opera singers. I'm in awe of what you do. Stop taking me so seriously. Anyways, we're going to move on now.
A whole other level.
That's it. Steve, you got another controversial question coming up.
Yeah, it's probably more controversial in the States, so I like getting the input from overseas. So this is a forever controversy over here, particularly in my neighborhood. Since we're in the midst of the holidays right now, do you decorate for the holidays? And if yes, when is it appropriate to start putting stuff up? When is too early for, say, Christmas or whatever?
I would say any time before the 1st of December is too early. for me, which doesn't mean anything. I mean, in August of this year, the supermarkets start selling all the Christmas stuff, you know.
That's true.
They start banging on. And I know on Boxing, what we call Boxing Day here, which is the 26th of December, day after Christmas, the hot cross buns for Easter start being sold in the supermarket. They literally hit the ground running. So I say anytime before December, I should leave it out until then.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what we do at our house, and that's what I think. There's so much other stuff going on. Why do you need to bang on about Christmas so early? Even then, after the 1st of December, it's still 25 days away. It's like, come on! I hate waiting. I'm very impatient. That's my opinion. What do you guys think?
Oh, I like decorating for Halloween, and I can never decorate too early for Halloween.
Really? So what, like July? What do you mean you can't decorate too early?
Well, like the month of, not like the week
All right,
of.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you mean.
Like this year, Christmas, it was like yesterday we put the tree up. So it was like the 6th of December or something that we put the tree up. So
ours is a tree in progress. We start on the 1st of December. It's over there. It's still going. Like I can show you. Look at this. It's still going, but it's still, look at all the crap. Look, there's all the crap on the floor that still has to go on it.
Yep.
Right? Oh, it's got angels. There's the Buzz Lightyear thing there. There's all crap that the kids have made at school.
That's not crap, John. That's your kids you're talking about. It's wonderful.
Oh, there he is in the background. He's not listening.
It's art.
Well, it's art. Yeah,
It's
that's
art.
right. If it was art, I could sell it and make a fortune. But no one's going to buy that crap. But yeah, and we still haven't got the lights on it yet. So in the next week or so, it'll slowly get finished.
Yep.
But it's a nightmare. There's such
Yeah.
a big tree and it shouldn't be. And what about, guys, a question for me, if you don't mind, without notice. Real Christmas tree or fake Christmas tree?
Fake.
Just a lot of people probably love getting real trees. And
I think they're ugly.
you know, a bit like Christmas Vacation in the Griswolds, where they bring that tree in and had a possum living in it the whole time. Steve, what do you do?
As a kid, I loved the fact that my family got a real tree every year because it was cheap and it was down the road. But I didn't have to do anything. My dad did it all. As an adult, I love my artificial tree. I have no cleanup.
Yeah,
I don't have to water the damn thing. There's like no upkeep. The dog's not eating it. You know, it just looks pretty.
Perfect.
But I do miss the real tree.
I hear you.
But I don't want to clean up after it.
I don't blame you.
So our fake one has glitter on it.
Oh.
I don't know why they thought it was a good idea to dip it in fucking glitter. Oh my god.
Because it's Christmas.
Oh no, that's hell.
That's why.
No, that's,
You dipped it in?
well, it's sort of look like snow, if you will.
It's covered in glitter.
Okay.
And it's glitter. It's like you're not fooling anyone, assholes. Just get fucking glitter in my eye, don't I? Or other places I don't want it. Anyways, we're gonna move on to the musical now. And this week, to pay homage to John's first musical gig,
Oh, no.
we've given Steve a trial by jury.
My God.
So how did you go with this one?
Thanks, Steve.
All right. Okay. So I'm of two minds now because I wrote my review after listening to the album that Aaron sent me.
Oh, no.
That Aaron texted me a link to a trial by jury done in a courtroom that you were in, and it completely negates my write-up. So now I kind of have two opinions. But I'm going to read my original opinion and then add on to the end.
And then you're going to backtrack and dig your way out of the hole within your opinion.
Then I got to backtrack and apologize. All right.
Yep.
So when I got the musical assignment, I was not expecting it to be Gilbert and Sullivan. That kind of threw me right off the bat.
Well, it's your first episode.
Yeah.
Wow.
So going way deep into the vault there. This realm is really uncharted for me, but it was fun to explore Trial by Jury in its entirety. I was vaguely aware of like Pirates of Penzance and HMS Pinafore, but that is solely to the credit of The Simpsons.
Of course.
You mean this?
Yes! That's how I even learned that they exist.
For listeners at home,
Sideshow Bob.
Sideshow Bob dressed up in his HMS Pinafore regalia, if you will, his outfit that he sings the whole score in. Anyway, so at least you cared about it.
Oh no, that's a great little figurine. That's yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Stephen. Let's continue.
So it was enjoyable. It was a swift one-act play, and I was able to follow along that cast album recording, which I think was from 2005, if I remember right. The word charming comes to mind. Musical arrangements were quite remarkable, and they are that unique style from a well bygone era. And I appreciated the overall humorous critique of the legal system, any legal system, because Gilbert and Sutherland from England, or like, where are they from?
England, yeah. England.
They're British. All right. The portrayal of the lopsided scales of justice, the boyfriend, the overly dramatic girlfriend, and then the unexpected decision at the end, the judge runs off with the girl. I thought that was pretty funny. Didn't see that coming. I wasn't really sure what the original crime was. I was unclear.
Oh, it's can I interrupt? Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
back in the day, you were able to, if someone asks you to marry them, and then they change their mind like on the day at the altar, like they get to know, and they say, "Do you take this woman?" And you say no.
And jilted.
You could if they jilt you could sue them, and that's what she does. He decides he's in love with someone else, he doesn't want to marry her anymore, and that's why she's in her bride's outfit as well. And they go straight to court and to settle it. You could sue people back then. Imagine if that was the case now, there'd be people in courts would be full.
Yeah.
Part of this, and here's my critique of it, is that, and this is a personal shortcoming, I struggle to catch lyrics when there's a large ensemble singing, especially in an operatic style, which is exactly what
thank you.
just said.
You're so right. You're so right.
Yes.
And it's written in that sort of style of Old English sort of stuff as well. So it's hard to understand some of the words. You need a glossary of terms to go, oh, that's what that means.
I chalk a lot of it up to my bad veteran hearing, which is a pain in the ass at times, but I'm glad you guys agree with me. Because the first couple songs, I really didn't know what was going on until there was some solos and I was able to follow the story, because I was trying to follow it without reading the synopsis first. I wanted to listen to it and get the story. But the blend of voices just kind of is like an indistinguishable noise to me at times. When the jury was singing, I couldn't make out their words. And when I was listening to it, I thought that there was only 3 soloists: the judge, the plaintiff, and the defendant. I could not tell any other soloists in there.
Because there's an usher and there's a counsel for the plaintiff, who's the lawyer for the and there's bridesmaids.
Yeah, so when Aaron sent me over that YouTube link of this wonderful play y'all did, that was great in the courtroom. I followed along so much more, which obviously with any cast album versus seeing it live, you're going to get more live on anything.
Oh yeah, you can see it. Yeah.
The defendant, the boy, I had him completely wrong. I had him as like this desperate, lovesick puppy that got left by the girl. I wasn't following straight line at all.
Right.
So that makes it, watching it, with him being a playboy, made a lot more sense.
Yeah, right.
And then with the entrance of the judge, and the judge comes in all pompous and arrogant, and he boasts about doing the exact same crime that this kid is on trial for. I was like, it really added to my enjoyment seeing it, and because the cast album really kicked the legal system in the nuts, but then the recording also punched the legal system in the nuts at the same time. So it was really nice to see all that play out with actual people. The people that were in those individual soloist positions did wonderful, and I don't know, it made it a bit much more enjoyable to see it performed.
Yep, I hear you. Yeah, I agree. And it's amazing because it's so many hundreds of years old. Like it's really such an old musical.
1875.
1875. Wow.
Yep. It's the first musical on our list of 700 something musicals that we've got that we.
Oh, is it the very first one?
It's the very first one, which is the other reason to do this, because it's your first episode. It was John's first musical production, and it's the first musical on this list. And also appearing in that BBC recording, which you can apologize to him yourself, is David Thaxton, and that was his first professional production. So,
wow.
Yeah, and now he's doing Broadway in his first Broadway production.
How awesome is that?
No,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, extra virginal episode today.
Extra virginal, and you've got your Essendon Bombers mug as well.
Mm-hmm.
All over the place. Look at you go. Everywhere.
The size of my fucking head.
It's huge.
I'm so worried about it just suddenly dropping off the handle.
Yeah. So I'm involved with the production of Tribaldry again over summer as well, but I'm just on standby in case someone gets sick because I'll be busy in the Botanical Gardens. But yeah, so they do it every year in the courtrooms here in the Supreme Courts. They all go on holiday, so they're not being used. But they do like 2 shows. And tourists love it. And it's good because it's so short. It's like 45 minutes and you're done. Yeah. And you move on.
Yeah, it was a nice, short, self-contained story. Yeah.
I was expecting it to be like political or like seafaring, like, I don't know, pirates or something. I don't know, just because of their other work. And then it was about a guy who doesn't want to marry this woman. And I thought, oh, okay, that's kind of refreshing in a way from them, that it's not some seafaring adventure or swashbuckling. I guess it's just a simple story.
Yeah.
I just found it funny that the judge was bragging about doing exactly what the kid did. He had a girl who was ugly but rich, and then he dumped her and he wants someone else. I mean, but he's already rich, so he's got the power.
Yeah.
The lopsided scales of justice.
That's right.
But then he marries her anyways, so does everyone win in the end, I guess? Except the one that he left to marry her.
Yeah, except for the ugly rich girl from
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not in it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Yes, it's good because it's so it's still topical even to this day, you know. So
Yeah. Not convoluted. Like don't need to think.
it's always good when you don't have to think.
Yeah.
As long as you can understand what the operatic sections are saying.
Yeah. No, I agree with what you said
Yeah.
about that in terms of the ensemble, and I've said this a few times that there are parts that, especially in like opening numbers or world building numbers, where you've got an ensemble explaining us what this world is or who these people are or whatnot. 2 voices, 3 voices, maybe at most, but any more than that, and it starts becoming really murky in terms of clarity in the finer details of what you're saying, and you only tend to hear sort of the keywords or the major words there.
Yeah.
So that's a problem I've had too, and I didn't know if it was just age or if I'm just getting old or if it's just me being unfocused or something.
Old man.
Like, I almost didn't give Sweeney Todd a chance when I first heard it, because the prologue there, it starts out great, but then you've got all these people singing in a very high tone. Yeah. All at once, and then there's like the musical screech over it, and like my ears almost hurt.
Oh yeah.
And then it does stop abruptly, but I almost like, this isn't for me. I'm glad I did, and I got, it's a wonderful show, but
yeah,
that beginning of Sweeney is almost painful at times.
Yeah, very much so.
When you got like Rent, Christmas bells, where you've got people singing different things, you're able to sort of mix that in a way or have that sort of overlapping.
I love that.
It never, I mean, it does get murky in some places, but there's so much clarity to what you are hearing that it's not, everyone's not singing the same lyrics at the same time every time. Then it would, I think, wouldn't have that same impact and would be murky.
Phantom, I can understand everyone. That operatics, like Masquerade or Prima Donna and stuff, I can understand those words perfectly. So I don't know, maybe it varies from show to show, but I mean, I don't really listen to too many full operas. Yeah. It's not really in my wheelhouse, so this was neat. When I saw Barbara Seville, there were subtitles on the side of the stage, so I was looking over there most of the time.
Yeah.
And they do use subtitles. They have to use them.
Yeah.
You can't understand it.
No. So you're doing it again, but as a standby.
Yeah. I've done it so many times that I know 4 of the parts, so I can cover, and I can be in the jury. Because it's 45 minutes. It's such a short show. I sort of know the whole show, and that's right. Yeah. So just in case someone gets sick, because I don't want to do it again. I've done it heaps. It's good to give other people a go.
Yeah, that's it.
And these days, we're trying to get all the young people involved in these old shows as well. They're all too busy wanting to do, Heathers and there's a whole bunch of them,
When we watched the video before, I said to Stephen, you're a local celebrity when you're billed as guest appearance.
Huh? Yeah, that happens.
But I did like the red and black.
Go the Bombers.
Exactly. That's our team.
Steve gets it.
Yeah.
Do you follow the NFL, Dave?
I do. I'm a Chicago Bears fan say depressingly. Yeah.
Well, it's like that, but better.
Huh. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan.
You're doing all right this year, then?
Yeah, they're doing okay.
Yeah. Josh Allen's my fantasy quarterback, so I'll take it.
Well, they did well last year as well. And then got to the Super Bowl and lost. This is the problem. And then when I first started going for them was when they were playing the Washington Redskins about 3 years in a row in the 90s and lost to them every bloody time as well. Very depressing, but I hung in there. I get very loyal with my team. So
yeah, I remember those days.
There was a weird phase in Australia in the 90s, say around 95, 96, where everywhere you went, in every store, like Kmart, Target, there would be Dallas Cowboys merchandise.
Yep. 49ers.
Or 49ers, yeah. Or the Chiefs, are they one of them too? But Dallas Cowboys were everywhere. I remember having a Fred Flintstone Dallas Cowboys t-shirt.
Wow.
Well, they had their dynasty for a while, and I think that they beat the Bills a couple times in the Super Bowl. Right?
And they're just good at marketing.
It was like the Bulls, the Chicago Bulls with their dream team.
They're just good at marketing. It's like Manchester United were very good at it from the English Premier Soccer League. And
that's true.
Real Madrid, Barcelona, they're all good at, you go into the sports shops in Asia, and they're all the teams whose clothing they have.
Collingwood Magpies, because that's why they're on Channel 9 News every single day.
That's because half of Channel 9 follow that team. Anyway.
Anyways, we're going to move on because we, the jury, declare that it's time for an ad break. G'day listeners, Aaron here. Because it's New Year's Day, I thought I'm going to quickly run through the bloop news by myself, although you may hear the cricket going on in the background. So, this week you can find Jonathan at the Second City, New York City, or in Brooklyn, where he is part of the Second City Presents, a fortnightly show where they invite a special guest on who will tell a story, sing a song, something like that, do a little performance, and then the acting troupe will create a performance based off that. A comedy performance at that. So, also, Jonathan has his musical Sarah and the Seed, which he is currently raising money for with a Kickstarter, and he's also got his Patreon. So check out Sarah and the Seed. I'll put the links below, as well as his YouTube channel, The Dohio, where he talks all things sumo. Now, obviously, because it was Christmas and the New Year, we didn't get to do a proper introduction for Steve in this episode because, rushing through and all that jazz. So you can find his podcast at Music Rewind Podcast. Again, I've put the links below, and you can find him on the socials as well. And it's an amazing podcast where every week they'll have someone come on and talk about an album that they love and how it's impacted their life. From Around the World in 80 Plays, you can find Alfie Parker, currently in Spend, 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 at the Royal Manchester Exchange, which is a musical about a regular old British couple who win the lottery and spend, spend, spend. Also, you can find Lizzie B in Jack and the Beanstalk, where she's playing Princess Jill, who I still don't know if that is Jack's sister or not. Either way, I'm sure there will be a hill or two in that. Now, both Spend, Spend, Spend and Jack and the Beanstalk will be ending within the next week or two. They were only running through December and January. However, you can also catch Lizzie B in the Sister Act the Musical live album, which is now available on streaming services worldwide. And holy guacamole, that voice. She really is a goddamn superstar. So I had goosebumps, and I was so proud listening to my friends. As for me, you can find the Toniston Tales at thetonistonTales.com. I've got a bunch of plays, novels, board games, puzzles. I've put a hell of a lot of stuff out into the world. I really do need a nap. And one very last thing, I think today happens to be Spencer's birthday, so go find him on the social media and wish him a happy birthday, because I think he's something like 12 years old now, I'm not sure. Anyways, back to the episode. Alright, we're back with Thrash and Treasure. I'm Aaron, that's Steve, and we're joined by local Tassie icon, John Xintavelonis. Now, with my favourite question, what's one thing you are terrible at that everybody else can do perfectly well?
Oh, jeez. Tap dancing. Well, not everyone else can do it. But
I've seen you tap dance.
Well, you haven't. I can fake it. And dancing in general. If I could go back and do something else and do something different, I would go back and go to dancing when I was really young.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just not the. I mean, I can move. I'm very well coordinated for someone who can't dance. And after a while, I can get the choreography. But to be able to go into a room, be shown 8 bars of choreography, and pretty much in 5 minutes be able to know it and be able to execute it and remember it, dancers can do that. I mean, I can do that with words, not even tunes and songs. But it seems everyone in my business a lot, especially the young people now, they're all coming into this business as triple threats. I came into it just as an actor who opened his mouth one day and found he could hold a tune. Yeah. So off the top of my head, that's what I'd say. Other people seem to be able to do with ease, and I cannot.
Play that answer back for my son so he knows about he hates his dance class.
Oh, no. It's invaluable. Tell him to hang in there. Trust me.
It is. Any skill you can learn. Doesn't matter if you want to follow it.
Yep.
Learn it because it's information, and information is power.
Oh, yeah.
And it means you can get along with so many more people on any job because you're able to relate to everyone in every unit. So
yeah. Well, he can sing and act, but he can dance too. It's just that's the one class that is they push him.
Yeah, they should. Yeah.
So he's like, I don't want to go to dance class.
One day he'll find joy in it.
So obviously my background is music with my podcast. So what is your traveling music? What are the artists and tunes that get you through time in the air or on the road that get into your head?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's good. That's a good question because I have a lot of music. People go, my collection is quite eclectic. And because I'm actually talking to you on my phone, so otherwise I can't really look it up and go through some of the songs. I'll just have to think. But things like, who's the American guys that who's saying everybody's talking at me?
Harry Nilsson?
That's Harry Nilsson. That's him. I find that's a really good driving song.
Yeah.
Because I love to drive, and I'll put my hand up. We're going on tour or whatever, or just to the next sort of suburb over, and I'll drive, and I'll put my hand up to drive for everyone. Songs like that. There are songs like so this time of year, do you know what? There's a song by Chris Rea called "Driving Home for Christmas," which is a really good driving song, which I really enjoy. I listen to a lot of big band stuff. I do a lot, but that's not really necessarily what I like to listen to when I'm driving. I do like to listen to "Born to Be Wild."
Little Steppenwolf.
Yeah, I do like that song. It's another good driving song. And another song that I like listening to in the car when I'm just coasting and not trying to break any speed limits and just have a good day out in the sun. I used to do this when I have convertibles, is the theme from A Summer Place. Yeah, but if I could play it for you, I would. If you get a chance to Google it and listen to A Theme from a Summer Place.
I will. Yeah.
With and it's not Perry Como in the orchestra. It's Percy someone in his orchestra.
Percy Faith.
Yeah, and the orchestra. Yeah, it's them, and it's it goes da 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 da.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's playing underneath all that.
I know this is like in every movie for crying out.
Well, sort of. It's an instrumental.
Not in every movie. It's in a lot of movies.
But it's a nice. It's good for driving a convertible through a whole bunch of like tree-laden sort of roads with overhanging trees and stuff. It's That's my other song.
I knew it as soon as I heard that opening.
As a follow-up, what's one classic Aussie song that I should know about?
Aussie.
That I should go and listen
Aussie.
to.
You just said Aussie.
That's how
I did.
Aussie.
Because that's what's written.
Oh, we say Aussie. We turn it into a Z when we pronounce it. Is what we say.
Americans always like Aussie.
Oh yeah, Aussie.
Aussie. Well, I like that though.
Oh my God, you went Aussie.
I'm from rural Illinois. It is strictly Aussie.
There's a lot of great Australians. Have you heard of John Farnham, Steve?
No.
Well, he sings a song called "You're the Voice."
Yeah.
But there's another singer. So you want to listen to "You're the Voice" by John Farnham.
All right.
Farnham. But you also want to listen to a song called "Horses" by Daryl Braithwaite.
Yep, which I quoted in.
Did you?
Yeah, in your introduction, because you played Mr. Braithwaite.
Yeah, right. Horses. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did Mr. Braithwaite. Yeah. So this guy called Daryl Braithwaite, who used to play in a band many years ago called Sherbet in the 70s and became a solo artist. And then he goes to his concerts and that's all they want him to sing. They just keep going, horses, horses. And he sings it and then he'll finish and then they'll all go, horses. They'll even yell out horses when someone says, and other artists in Australia go, what song, any request, anything you want me to sing. And sometimes most crowds will go, oh, horses, sing Horses by Daryl Braithwaite. You want to listen to Horses by Daryl Braithwaite and you want to listen to You're the Voice by John Farnham, which is sort of two anthemic sort of songs by Australians, from the last sort of 30 years, I would say.
Got it.
Yeah. 40 already. It's already 40, John. Oh my God, really?
What's 40?
It's 40 years now. Oh no.
Since what?
The Horses and You're the Voice.
No.
Yep.
No. Oh, well, okay.
40.
Shut up.
I know.
Shut up.
Horses is originally a Ricky Lee Jones song.
Yeah, it's a cover, yeah. Most songs are.
Yeah.
Most songs. I remember when Cats in the Cradle came out.
Yeah. Harry Nilsson.
Harry Chaplin.
Yeah, but then a band really, Ugly Kid Joe, I think.
That's
Ugly
right.
Kid Joe.
Yeah, Everything About You.
And I remember hearing a young person on a radio station argue with the announcer that, no, it was the original song by Ugly Kid Joe, not an old song. Like they had no idea that this song had a life and a very popular life.
I had that exact argument with my dad at the time.
Oh wow! There you go. Yeah. And what are you supposed to know? You only know the songs that are of your era. Unless you research them. And back then we couldn't Google.
No,
you couldn't Wikipedia that song and find out what it was doing.
No.
Yeah. Well, he told me to go back to the liner notes and look and see who wrote it, and I did. And I was like, okay, I can't admit defeat.
Yeah.
I was like 15, 16. I can't admit it. I was wrong. It's not possible.
Yeah. But they're the two songs I can think of.
Well, just on the horses, I was on a cruise going from Hawaii to Sydney. So this is 23 days. And some asshole, I say that with gritted teeth, some fucking asshole decided to pay the DJ on the first night to make sure that Horses got played every single night at the nightclub. We're still looking for his body. in the Pacific Ocean.
Floating in
Anyways,
the ocean. Yeah. People love it. I just love that song. I don't know
fuck that
why.
guy. Fuck that guy. Anyways, just on Australian musicals now, what to you is the sound of Australian musicals? Like, do we have an identifiable sound that sets our shows apart, like Broadway?
I don't think so. We do when we sing in our accent, because traditionally everyone either sings in an English accent or an American accent when they do musicals. Rarely do we do, and that's why Muriel's Wedding, the musical, and when they're still working on it in America, it's going to come out at some point in the next 24 months on Broadway. They're trying to Americanize it at the moment to make it a bit more accessible to the American audience. The Muriel's Wedding is very Australian, even though it has, a few ABBA songs in it and stuff like that. But, as Australia, we there are certain songs that went to number one in Australia that for ABBA that didn't go number one anywhere else. Do you know what I mean? Like we adopted the group ABBA. So I would say a Muriel's Wedding, because there's a lot of songs in that show where you have to sing in your Australian accent.
Yeah, but in terms of the music or the sort of the branding, you can tell a Broadway musical when you hear it, and a West End musical often has like a sweeping quality to it that they don't have on Broadway, which is maybe more jazzy. So what's our identifiable sound? Do we have one? Do we need one? Is it time we got our shit together?
I don't think we have. If we do have one, it's usually that bush band sound, when you're playing the lagerphone and the little bush bass guitar, the stick and the apple box thing with the string. Yeah, might be ours, because I don't think we've really got one yet. We struggle to make famous shows, and if we do, they're usually jukebox musicals. Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, basically has songs, disco songs from the 70s, which I think is what makes it popular.
And they changed it for Broadway. They took out the Australian songs and they replaced it for Broadway. Replaced them for Broadway. It's like, what was the fucking point? Godfathers.
Broadway is the end all and be all. Yeah.
It just shows how interchangeable the songs of a jukebox musical are, that you can take the same script, do it in different countries, and just have different songs. It means nothing then. It really means nothing then. That's sad.
And it doesn't happen the other way, though. They don't change things for Australian audiences. They keep them the same.
Yeah, exactly. We get the package.
I got a question for you guys, without notice. What's your favourite jukebox musical?
Well, I'll say Moulin Rouge because it was the first opening night I was invited to.
Okay, sentimental reasons.
But technically Buddy, the Buddy Holly story.
Okay.
Because it's my first professional production I went to.
Oh.
I hate to say it, but probably Anne Juliet.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's more contemporary. Yeah, I've not seen that musical, but people rave about it.
Well, but I mean, it's not really because of the music. It's because of Shakespeare and his wife. So the show itself, I'm not the biggest fan of jukebox musicals. I like original songs, just personally. But when my son was at a Broadway workshop up in New York, we got free tickets to Anne Juliet. So we went, and I was not thrilled to even go. It's like, oh my God, this is going to be, I'm going to have NSYNC and Britney Spears shoved down my throat for the next 2 hours. And the cast was great, all wonderful voices, and they gave it their all. I mean, girl power, sure, that was the message. But the framing of the show with Shakespeare and his wife, and the wife saying, I want it that way. And, they're going back and forth. It was clever. And I liked that. That kind of elevated it. But I did kind of enjoy the way they did some of the songs. And it's definitely not one I listen to or revisit. There was a lot of crap in there, I'll just be honest there. But the framing of Shakespeare and Anne Hathaway was her name, where it was really, really quite clever.
For me, it's Rock of Ages.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not a big 80s ballad. My wife made me go and see it on Broadway. I think it was in previews at the time, maybe. And hearing that music being played live, I think the show's quite funny as well. I find the show quite amusing. It's very cleverly written. But hearing that music played live and sung live by a live band on stage, just I got hooked right in. And that is my favourite. That's my favourite jukebox musical, Rock of Ages.
I've only seen bits and pieces of the movie, and that didn't really impress me. But
no, they changed they changed the stage show for film.
I would have liked to have seen American Idiot, though.
Yeah, but apparently that music was quite good too.
But that was also written to be a concept album. So does that qualify as a jukebox musical, or is that a concept album put into fruition?
I would put American Idiot and Tommy, those albums that turned into musicals as jukebox musicals. They were not written for the stage.
Yeah, Tommy's a great show.
Not my Tommy. Tommy's the best show.
It was good.
I did American Idiot on my show. A musician brought it to talk about it. In my research for that, I watched several clips of Billy Joe Armstrong, St. Jimmy and stuff on stage in Broadway because I expected him to fail. I was like, there's no way he's going to be able to do this, and he killed it in the clips I saw.
Yeah.
So I'm sad I missed that.
Yeah.
I hear you.
All right, so to mine or Aaron's knowledge, there hasn't been a major national musical tour to visit Tasmania, at least not for a long time. Obviously, population and close proximity to Melbourne would play a part.
Melbourne,
but
sorry,
Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Steve, you need to give Aaron some American names for him to mispronounce, and we can laugh at him.
I work with all foreigners, English or Americans, and I thrive off it. You
shouldn't be laughing at them.
I know. I thrive off it.
You're a bad man.
I'm a horrible, horrible person.
Aaron, we talked about this. Coffee, beer.
Coffee.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Close proximity to Melbourne would play a part.
Melbourne. Yep.
But how much of that is also the lack of fully comprehensive facilities to host something big like the Lion King?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't have a theatre big enough that has big enough wing space or space in the theatre to accommodate these sets, or big enough proscenium. The Theatre Royal, which is the oldest working theatre in Australia and the biggest theatre we have with fly lines, proper theatre in Hobart, is only like a 7.5 metre proscenium, and you need at least 12 or more for some of these shows that tour the country. So that's one reason. Some shows have toured here recently. The last one would have been a production of Grease, but they go into the basketball arena and they have to sort of curtain it off, and it's not the same atmosphere as being in a theatre.
In a theatre,
like in a big barn. So, and then there was a production of Cats that came into that same venue, and then 20 years before that, another production, an arena tour of Greece came here as well, and a couple of other. But yes, that's the reason. The Melbourne thing. Look, the reason I think producers don't care that they don't come to Tasmania is because they know that they get a lot of tourism, as do Victoria and New South Wales, those states, from us flying over there and getting accommodation and going to restaurants and buying tickets to the show. So that is a bit. Tasmania is a big tourism catchment for these musicals that are in Sydney and Melbourne. But yeah, the main reason is we don't have the venues, and it's that stretch of water because we're across the water. You can't drive. You got to drive your thing on the boat. You got to book those 6 to sort of 12 months out. I mean, it can be done, but we just don't.
That was actually my follow-up question for personal was how hard is it to go from like if you want to go over to the mainland to like see a show, is that easy to do?
Yeah, to fly from Hobart to Melbourne or Melbourne is I did that for Aaron's sake. It's fine. That's how Americans pronounce Melbourne. That's fine.
The right way, yeah.
The right way. And then we once you're on the plane, it's 55 minutes airtime in the air. Flight time is 55 minutes to Melbourne. It's an hour and 15 to Sydney. So it's not that far away at all. They're very short flights, which is why we do it. Yeah.
Do they have like ferries or anything, or is that
there's a ferry that goes? You've got to drive to the north of Tasmania to a city called Devonport, and that's a 3-hour drive from Hobart. And then you got to get on a boat, and it's an overnight trip to Melbourne.
Not anymore. It's to Geelong now.
Now it goes to Geelong, so it's a bit longer to get to Melbourne.
Got kicked out of St Kilda's pier, and now to Geelong.
That's right.
Yeah, the cruise ships have taken over St Kilda
That's
pier
right.
now. I just want to add on to this because I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. The Sister Act set that they're using in Melbourne, that they used in Sydney and Melbourne, right, is actually the UK tour set, right? So this set is designed for small theaters that don't have the facilities. There are some tiny ass theaters, and they accommodate every theater they go to. They will accommodate to the size. The fact is that they sent that secondhand set over to Australia because it was cheaper doing that from England to Australia. It was cheaper doing that than it was to build our own fucking set.
Yep, of course. People do it all the time.
And yet they won't go over to Tasmania because it's too expensive. What they should do is start in Melbourne, go right around the country, and in Tasmania.
But it's also population as well.
And also population.
That's an issue. They need to go do a short season in a big venue that seats a lot of people.
Yeah.
They can't afford to pay wages for weeks on end here to the whole team. And
like there are other shows I wouldn't say that about, but Sister Act specifically, I know for a fact that it has been in tiny theaters because I'm producing a show on that with 2 people that are in it that just toured around the UK. They jumped on that set and everything. They probably signed it before it got sent over here.
Be worth having a look at. I don't sign bits of set. No, but I know English people do. We had the London Palladium production of Wizard of Oz set, and the back of that's signed by all the English people.
Yeah, which is now being used as our major tour
in
set.
Sydney, yeah.
But it's not. It's a tour set, which was downgraded from the West End set. And not only that, it's been on 2 tours before being sent over here. Sorry, I think it's bullshit. Anyways, we're going to move on. Back onto Guys and Dolls again, because being in that kind of environment, outside in a large crowd, battling the elements, does that environment change your approach to a performance or to your character? Do you have to play it bigger?
Well, yes, you do. Without banging on about this, when I flew to do the audition, we got into this room and they did this weird thing where they got 4 of the people all auditioning to come in and read a scene 4 times, each swapping the roles. Now, they don't normally do that. They normally just get readers to do it opposite. You don't normally have to audition against other people you're auditioning with. But to save time, whatever, and they asked if that was okay, and we all went, yeah, that's fine. And we did that. And just before we started the first time, the director said to everyone, he said, now, look, this stage is the size of a football field. So, no, there's no subtle, nuanced stuff doesn't cut it on this stage. You can't, performances need to be big and loud. Before I could say something smart, the musical director pointed to me and said, oh, John, you'll be fine. So, yeah.
Oh, the shade.
Well, I think part of the reason I got the role is because I can play big. I can play larger than life. Yeah, I think hand movements, and it'll be very much, and when the choreography will be, it'll be out there. It'll have to be because people are watching you from a distance on this massive stage. So, yeah, everything is larger than life. Yeah. Which is why a lot of theatre actors sometimes just do theatre and never do TV or film because they have trouble pulling it back because the camera's right here for you, so you don't have to raise your eyebrow when you're evil because they can see it in your eyes, So that's the difference. That's the difference there. So yeah, it's very much a larger than life thing. The whole thing will be to get the story across, which is good for me because I can do that easily.
Yeah, awesome. Good. Obviously playing Harry the horse, which I can't remember. I'm guessing is one of the gangsters or the gamblers, not one of the salvos.
Yeah, they're all gangsters. They're either gangsters or they're girls or they're salvos. Yeah, or they're cop. Oh, there's only one cop. Yeah,
I've only seen the Marlon Brando Sinatra movie. Is that Brando's character or is that
Harry the horse? No, Harry the horse is one of the other guys, one of the other gangsters, the second string gangsters. We've got Cody Simpson playing. You know Cody Simpson, pop star Cody Simpson, young sort of blonde kid, and then he was on stage on Broadway in Anastasia when COVID hit, and then he became an Olympic swimmer because he used to be a swimmer, and he decided to, and then he got into our Olympic team, and now he's gone back to theatre. Extraordinary career. Seems like a lovely guy. He's playing the Marlon Brando role.
Nathan Detroit, I think is his name.
No, Sky Masterson is playing.
Sky Masterson, that's the one I'm thinking
of. Bobby Fox is playing Nathan Detroit. And Nicely Johnson's played by a young man whose name escapes me, but he's the lead in our Australian production of Hamilton.
Jason Arrow.
I guess it's him, yeah. He goes back to Hamilton here in Australia once Guys and Dolls finishes.
Yeah.
So you've done numerous classic shows, very wide swath on the resume there, including Guys and Dolls coming up. What are your thoughts on updating those old shows for modern audiences? Do you think it's necessary, or should we keep them as the timepiece snapshot from when they were created?
I'm big on people having history lessons, and I know there's a lot of shows out there, some that wouldn't fit into our current woke sort of culture. I've never done it before, but I know I've seen several productions here over years ago of like getting back to Gilbert and Sullivan, The Mikado, where basically everyone's running around playing Asians the whole time. You would not get away with doing that now. So, yeah, some of those old shows, even in Anything Goes, where the gangster and the lead guy dress up as the 2 Asian gamblers on the ship and sort of in disguise. They've rewritten that now. I can't remember what they're doing. There's a youth production coming up, but I've got to go and see it to see what the hell they do with that. No, I would keep them the same and say, no, this is what, we can't ignore our past, and, we shouldn't. Yeah. We should be proud of it, I think, especially when it comes to musical theatre. So, no, I wouldn't update or change anything. I mean, they do change things, but not to that extent. I wouldn't bother doing it. I would keep them the same. I think people need to know that, this is what we enjoyed. This is what we found funny. This is what we accepted back then. It might be different to you now, but this is what it was like. And this is how we treated women. This is how you married a woman back then. You hit her on the head with a club and dragged her out of her cave into your cave, that sort of thing, even though you're not allowed to do that anymore. That's straight.
And this is how artists saw society at that time.
Sure. Exactly. So I know. So yeah. So answer your question. That's a long-winded way, but no, I wouldn't change it. I'll keep it the same.
Now, you've hustled your way onto morning radio. Have you ever thought about doing a footy podcast? Because I happen to know a strapping young producer with a network who would love to produce, if that's something you've thought about.
A footy podcast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Look, I'd love to. I mean, I'd love to do a footy podcast. I always talk about football, no matter when I'm on.
Yeah.
Footy podcasts are great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love them. I love sport. You know, you got to be careful. Some people hate sport.
Yeah.
Discovered a lot of people hate sport, especially when I do breakfast radio for the national broadcaster here. Sometimes I'll get onto a conversation about sport with a guest or whatever, and then on the text line, I'll start texting in and complaining.
Yeah.
You know, why does it all have to be about football? Stop talking about football or sport. Why? This is not a sports station. Stop talking. Yeah, people hate it.
Yeah.
Some people hate it. Some people don't. But yeah, footy podcasts would be great.
Yeah.
You would do just an Essendon podcast and just talk about Essendon and no one else.
Exactly.
So what you think you're doing?
Yeah. Well, anything. Like all our branding is black and red anyways.
I've noticed.
Predominantly features black and red.
Steve and I have noticed, yes.
Yes. And if you notice here, the yellow in the middle, the Indigenous flag. That's my low-key DL way of going like that to society. Anyways.
Wow.
Yeah, awesome. Well, if you ever, I'll start thinking of ideas, and if you think of an idea, then let me know. And I would love to produce, because that would be wonderful. And it could be all about teaching Americans about Aussie Rules Football.
Why do we need to teach Americans?
Because they don't understand it.
It'll never catch on over there. I mean, there's a big fan base over there. Have you seen a game at all, Steve?
Yeah, we actually used to watch it in the barracks in the Army.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we had like maybe one or two ESPN channels that were, you know, this is well before streaming and everything. This was back in the early 2000s, late 90s.
Back in the dark ages.
Yeah, ESPN2, you know, randomly at 9:00 at night while everyone's drinking.
Wow.
Hey, Aussie Rules Football's on. It was like watching a Royal Rumble on TV. Everyone loved it, but nobody knew the rules.
Well, there you go.
And we still struggle with American football here. Like we still struggle with the rules.
Now, that's not true. They bump into each other from this far apart with their what's it called, their armor on, and then they grab the ball, run with it, and drop it, and they get a point.
Yes.
Roll with that.
Aaron, you should go for someone. You should pick a team in the NFL. You can go for the Philadelphia Eagles. Australia's Jordan Mailata plays for them. He's the highest paid Australian sportsman in the world. He's on $63 million.
Oh, wow.
That's the highest they've ever paid any Australian ever.
In order to get my son into football, I had to get him into the fantasy pick'em leagues.
Oh.
And I'm slowly getting him involved, not into gambling, but into, you start out like, a bear can beat up a dolphin, so let me pick that team to win, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then he's slowly starting to see the stats, and he's starting to get into it. That's what, Aaron, next year you're going to be in my pick'em league. That's what we're going to do.
I will happily pick a husband from American football. Anyways, John X Productions has been making its mark, pun intended, especially with your recent production of Annie. So if you could produce any musical using only the iconic artists on the Thrash and Treasure guest list, what musical would you produce? And who would be in the cast? And am I directing?
I would produce A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you know that show? It's Sondheim's first musical.
Yep.
Yeah.
Voted Broadway's funniest musical of the 20th century.
Originally as written, I hope, right? Don't change it for modern audiences.
No, it hasn't been changed. Well, it's about the lead guy is called Pseudolus, right? And Pseudolus is a slave, and his master is a young guy called Hero, and he falls in love with with a young courtesan at the brothel next door, and tells Pseudolus, if you can get that girl for me and get her to fall in love, man, I can run away with her. I'll set you free. So then Pseudolus goes about trying to do that. There's a whole bunch of hysterical stuff happens, and there's another slave next door called Hysterium. He ends up having to dress like the courtesan that the young guy's falling in love with, because she's actually been promised to a victorious centurion. He comes to claim her, so you've got the fake guy dressed as the courtesan. It's a very, very funny show. And Marcus Lycus is the bloke who runs the brothel. And so Pseudolus gets to go along, and they all dance for him, and he gets to choose which one with his master Hero behind him. He's saying, is this the one? And they go, no. And all these girls are doing these very provocative dances trying to convince Suitless is pretending to be a buyer to buy one of them, and he keeps going, no, that's not her, no, that's not her. And it's sort of a busy try. Because the reason they don't present the other one that he's fallen in love with is because he did promise to this centurion. So they steal her and they hide her in the house, but they don't tell the father, and the father falls in love with her. They sing this beautiful song called Everybody Ought to Have a Maid, which is quite funny. So anyway, I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but it's very funny. It's set in Roman times, so everyone sort of wears togas and stuff. And you're saying, who would I cast in the show?
Out of this list here of our guest list.
Oh, my God.
Because we've had some icons and legends.
You have. Oh, my goodness. You need someone old to play the dad. Could I be in it or not?
You can be in it.
Are you guys going to be in it? No.
No, but we're not guests. But
Oh,
you're a
come
guest,
on.
so you're allowed to be in it.
Jeez, who would I cast? Tony Sheldon.
Yep,
I'd probably cast Tony Sheldon as the old man.
yep.
Or Carolyn O'Connor as the mother of
Yep.
Hero. As young Hero, I would probably cast Jeremy Stanford as the owner of the brothel.
Yep. He was in Buddy when I saw it, the first production.
Oh, wow. I'll maybe get Christian Lavicum to play Hero,
Yep.
the young guy. We've got to tick the diversity box. So we should probably get... you can laugh as much as you like, but we do. Don't get me started. I've lost the screen. Here, I'm going to find it now. I would get... Ooh, who have you had on? Oh, geez, there's a lot to choose from in regards to who would play her. You could almost... Geez, you could almost alternate, I guess, if you really wanted to. Geez, you've had a lot, haven't you? It's becoming really hard to cast this role now.
Yep.
I would cast... what's her name? Is it Sunita?
Sunita, yes.
Yeah.
Mama Sin.
Oh, Mama Sin. There you go. Cast her.
Yep. Her mum, Michael Brown, was in the original Australian cast of Hair
Wow.
and toured around Australia with Marsha Hines. And Sunita was actually Simon Cowell's first signing as a pop star.
All right. And I'd get Peter Rosethorn.
Yes.
Peter Rosethorn to play Hysterium, the slave who's really nervous and scared and has to dress up as the courtesan and try and fool the centurion. That's the courtesan that's been promised to him. Yeah,
Wow.
there you go. How's
That's
that?
one hell of a cast.
Oh, yeah.
And it only makes me prouder that they were drawn from my guest list. Goodness gracious me.
I would have had you guys in it if you were willing.
Yeah, I maybe. Do look pretty good in a toga.
He would play a great Miles Gloriosus, which is the centurion who comes to claim the gladiator gear with the skirt and the breastplate and a big sword and a big hat with a furry thing up the top.
I do have my very first IMDb credit.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
So I am in the system as an actor. Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
What were you in?
My son was doing a shoot and they needed someone to sit in as Uncle Joe at a Thanksgiving American thing. And so there you go. I am Uncle Joe and I have my first acting credit.
Uncle Joe. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Solid back of the head acting in that scene too. Anyways, final question.
Have you ever seen a theater ghost?
Oh, no.
No. Is there not one?
Yeah. Fred is the ghost at the Theatre Royal. Fred. I've not seen one, no. And I've not felt one or I've not been spooked by anything either. But back in 1984, the Theatre Royal caught fire. And there is, as is there most theatres, there's a thing called a fire curtain, which sits at the front of the proscenium, and they can bring it in manually. If they press a button, it brings in and basically stops the fire. It's a steel sort of curtain, stops the fire getting from the auditorium to the stage and vice versa.
Yep.
And they said when it caught fire in the middle of the night, the auditorium sort of all got burnt, but the theatre, the stage didn't. What saved it was the fire curtain came in. Someone put the fire curtain in the middle of the night, and they reckon it was Fred the ghost. Activated the fire curtain to save the theatre. But then they had to replace the seats and stuff like that.
Where's that theater?
In Hobart. It's the oldest working theatre in Australia.
Okay.
Yeah, and Laurence Olivier came there in 1948 with Vivian Lee, who he was married to at the time. Some very famous people have been there. It's the place. Yeah, it's the place to go. Yeah. And underneath the auditorium, there's a trapdoor on stage right in the auditorium on the left-hand side if you're facing the stage, which opens up and there's buildings underneath, a sandstone bar. It used to be called the Shades. And people would come there, go underneath the auditorium to the bar and drink and then come up through the sandstone steps into the auditorium and watch shows. You can't go there anymore. You used to be able to take a tour. They won't let you take a tour anymore because it's all, occupational health and safety came in and ruined it for everyone.
God, found this.
So you can't do that anymore. But it does exist. It's still there.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful.
So, but yeah, I've never seen a ghost. You guys seen a ghost or felt a ghost?
I'm skeptical, to be honest.
I tried to in Chicago when my
Yeah.
son's tour was at the Nederlander for the Peter Pan tour. And there's this big story about how that theater caught fire and 600 people died and people had to like jump off
Whoa.
the theater into the alley behind it. And it's called the Alley of Death. Like to escape the fire, they jumped to their death.
Whoa.
Wild story about when the Nederlander there. And also the for the Chicago rules, they have to have, it's not just the guardian for the kids that are in the show, a parent has to be there. So I had to be backstage and in these little rooms, and it's creepy. It's an old, like 100-year-old building.
Yeah, right.
And it's definitely cramped, but I was looking, I saw nothing though.
Yeah.
I tried.
Can I leave you with a joke?
Yep.
That we perform in this touring review show that we do. And you might have to edit it out if you think it's too rude. I think it's rude. It's very funny. And it's a joke that we do. And one of our guys gets on stage and puts like a long hair and a headband on and says, "Welcome to the Supernatural Convention," and whatever town we're in. And says, "We're here. Just want to sort of gauge the room and see if anyone ever here has actually ever seen a ghost." And some people might put their hand up, and I'm sort of at the back of the stage. And I go, me. Yeah, I've seen a ghost. Yeah, I've seen one for sure. I guess, that's great. Has anyone here actually ever touched or felt like a ghost? And I'm like, yeah, bloody oath, I have. Yes, I've seen a ghost. And he goes, right, now this is a bit radical. I'm just going to ask this question. And please feel free to be honest. Has anyone here ever had sex with or made love to a ghost? And I go, yeah, I have. Me, yeah. Would you like to come and tell us about it? Oh, yeah, I will. I'd come up on stage, and he goes, so you've actually made love to a ghost? He goes, yeah, you bet. Oh, yeah, it was fantastic. It was great. I really gave it to us. You really enjoyed it. He said, that's amazing. And this is the first time this has ever happened to me. To the person from the Supernatural Convention, you've actually made love and had sex with a ghost. And the bloke goes, oh, ghost? Oh, I thought you meant goat. It's a terrible joke, but it gets a very big laugh. So you might have to edit that out.
No, this was an extra virginal episode, but after that one, I think the cherry was definitely popped.
Oh my God. Sorry, Steve.
No, I love theatre ghost stories, and I think we're going to have to ask more guests about that, because on that show I was talking about touring the UK. So many of these theatres like 200 years old, and they've got like ghost cats and ghost dogs and stuff like that. There's like all these really fascinating stories of people who died in the theater and haunt it and stuff like that. And
whoa,
I think both Alfie and Lizzie have either felt or heard a ghost. And I said, well, if you were hearing someone going boo, it probably wasn't a ghost, kids. So
boo. Oh dear, that doesn't happen too often.
No. Anyways, it's such a thrill, John, having you on the show again.
Oh, thanks, guys. Great to meet you, Steve.
Great to meet you too. Thanks for being here.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Such a fan of your work, John, and always have been and big supporter. And I love seeing what you're doing in Tasmania, because as we established, it is getting shortchanged a lot.
That's right.
Hang on a second. In a couple of minutes, I'm rounding up. Sorry, my dad wants to cook shepherd's pie, which means he wants to ruin it. It's going to be like all chunky and horrible, so I have to go save it so that we don't have a horrible dinner. Yes, honestly, I'm so thrilled and all that. So I'll do all your socials.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, let me know if you come up to Sydney. I'll get you a ticket. And Steve, I'll definitely get you a ticket if you end up in Sydney while the show's on. Don't you worry.
I'd love to make it out there. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but yeah, I'd love to.
You're not one of these people that was leaving the country if Trump got in then?
No.
A lot of people are, but none of them actually can, because do they realize they can't just go to another country, kids?
Well, yeah, half of them got criminal records. I'd like to hold them to it, some of those people that threaten to leave the country. I'd like to say, right, fuck off. Get out. There's got to be a list somewhere.
The ones that are leaving are already on Diddy's list, so it's they were leaving anyway.
Yeah. Oh, that's why they're leaving. Oh my God, that's still got to come, hasn't it? Oh my God, that's a whole mess. Yeah. Oh wow.
Yes. But anyways, I'm gonna round it off right here. To you at home.
All right, boys.
Take care. We shall see you next time. Hooroo! Awesome. Thank you so much.
Bye, fellas.
Thank you. I'm going to bed.
Yeah. Good night, mate.